Welcome. Quite a handful topic for me for this panel. So let me try breaking the funnel, managing customer life cycle for a connected world. I got that. I'm sure some of you must have attended similar panels, moderated, somebody like me, stood on the stage and probably said very profoundly, marketing funnel is dead. I think we need a more nuanced understanding of that. It's not so much as marketing funnel is dead, it's probably the relevance is reducing. At one end you have the typical the ADA model, a marketing framework, awareness, interest, desire, action. On the other end you have a very fluid customer-centric view, the customer journey, right? It's not so much as the funnel is dead, I think it is evolving, especially when we're seeing brands are looking at how do they create a very dynamic, emotional customer journeys and not just look at transactional based touch points. I'm absolutely happy that we are able to get 4 leaders from 4 diverse industries: insurance, health, fashion, lifestyle, and of course, a global leader in digital transformation and marketing. Please welcome the panel. Thank you very much for joining us. I have broadly 4 questions, which I am hoping will run the panel with. The first one really is, I'm hoping we'll get a more nuanced understanding of your perspectives about this challenge between a traditional marketing funnel versus an customer journey based engagement. The second one is, obviously for an engagement you really understand customer behavior. So how do you look at a real time understanding of customer behavior? The third one of course is KPIs. And finally the last one I know most of you would be keen to know is, how does platforms like MoEngage help in this customer engagement? So that's broadly what I expect to cover in the next 35 odd minutes. So maybe Suman, can we start with you? Really hoping to hear your insights, your view, especially not just the current role you're heading. In your career you head with different brands. It'll be nice if you can kind of bring the complexity and your viewpoint about the customer journey versus traditional marketing funnel. Yeah, please.
Hey. Hi. No, absolutely. I think the world has moved from transaction to customer centricity. So I think the usual funnel of awareness, engagement, retention, I think now it's a multi-dimension, right? I call it multi-loop, right? So the customer can engage at different point through different channels. And it's not a linear channel. I think that is what at least I have seen across various industries in the last 20 years. And I think mainly in the last 5 years, it has disrupted due to, I think, huge evolution of digital native products, which earlier Saurabh was also alluding to. So I think is the current billion and the next billion is actually the users. The users are moving the needle and hence the move from the transaction to customer-centric touch point, right? So now when we imagine that touch point, I think we need to look at it from a point of, instead of point of sale or point of purchase, the purchase is just we should not look at purchase as a transaction. I think we should look at purchase as a time to engage. I think that's what at least we are looking at from fashion perspective, because a lot of things can happen there, right? After a purchase, a drop can happen, somebody can decide to return the product. So there we see instead of looking at it as a revenue opportunity, how do we deeply engage with the customer, right? So maybe a purchase is a entry to the door. I think that's the way I would put it. And then, I'm sure all the other panel members can chime in. because lot many things can be done from there, right? Be it a loyalty, be it a engagement at various channels, right? And then the who, when, where, how can be defined, right? I think that's how I would lay it. Basically 3 dimensions, right? I think the magnitude of digital products available in the last 5 years, that's one, which has created this need for moving from transaction to, engaging with the customer at a deeper level. Second is, instead of looking at the sale, I think focus is on the CLTV, focus is on the repeat, right? I think those are the aspects. And maybe the last point I would say, I think now the businesses are learning that throwing money on customer acquisition, while it's a great opportunity, focusing on your existing base is equally big opportunity. Because you can actually spend 5% on your existing base and potentially do a 25% uplift, right? I think which is only possible when you engage with the customer at a deeper level.
Yeah.
It is not possible when you transactionally engage with them. I think this is how I would probably start.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think Nishant, in your space, it's a quite emotionally charged situation for your customers, right? So I would love to see the complexity which happens here.
I guess, as you rightly said, it is emotionally charged, but if you really look at the healthcare journey, we saw a lot of dynamic changes happening post-COVID, because COVID introduced us to the scarier side of things in terms of what kind of shape it can take if you're not in the right frame of health. So, as I said, not just the frame of mind, but frame of health. Healthcare largely is chosen basis 2 things. One is mostly it's episodic. When you hit upon a health episode, you look for the solution. And in that case, you don't see digital, yes, it plays a role, but you definitely try and look at your environment, your friends, families to give some suggestions, because you are really stressed out at that time. So you can't exercise everything which is available at your disposal, be it in digital or per se. Apollo Health and Lifestyle actually in this segment of business, we look at a lot of planned procedures.
Yep.
So when you're looking at planned events, you can really exercise a lot of window shopping. You can figure out how the journey, who's offering what, and then obviously the most important piece is the doctor and the brand. And then because that brings in trust, and that it's very outcome driven. So for us, we look at both models very clearly. And in terms of our funnels, they both are applicable. So it's not a case that we want to choose. The fact is, it's the way the patient or what segment or what stage of life he's looking at. And eventually, if it's an episode that you're looking at, you're trying to seek solution, or if it's a planned procedure. If you're a planned procedure, you obviously look at all that's available. And yes, you have emotional movements, obviously. So that's how eventually the choice plays out. It will always be in accordance with what stage you're looking at it. If you're looking at episode, you will have not much at your disposal. You'll try and run for the solution because you don't have time. And it's time that eventually will play it out.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Now, you're also talking to me about the 8 different brands as the Apollo portfolio. I think with each of them have a different dynamics altogether, right?
Yeah, exactly. So as I said, Apollo Health and Lifestyle, we are trying to look at preventive frame or outset quite a lot, because see, eventually no matter what you do, if you are looking at as our chairman always says, that NCD is going to be one of the biggest killers, which is non-communicable disease in time. And if you look at, we are the diabetic capital of the world. So you have clearly, episode is basically because if you don't attend to what your body needs, an episode eventually meets you. If you're looking at preventive health, then obviously all the formats we offer. So after COVID, we have seen inclination from consumer side, who's trying to look at preventive as one of the main core, or trying to look after one's own self as a big channel. And hence, people are trying to understand, what packages are available and how do I get more deeper insights of my own health. So Apollo Diagnostic is one of the verticals that we look at, and diagnostics is basically what the physician will eventually look at. in terms of your values, etc. So it's the meters of your body, those readings which will actually play out. So in that sense, the funnel becomes far more critical, because a person would obviously look at the inclusions that are available, and then you will kind of decide that, okay, fine, I have these things coming my way. It's like, you know, much like buying a policy. You would not now, it's earlier policy buying was difficult, but because of the tech that has come in, you know the inclusions. So similarly for health checks, the inclusions matter quite a lot, the parameters that you cover. And it gets more and more interesting. So I think that is also heightened post-COVID. And it's playing into our court, as to say. And if you are able to divulge a lot of information about oneself, it makes the person more aware of how the future is going to be.
No, got it. I think that's a good segue, Subhankarji. If you can kind of share your perspective, especially in your industry, digital is still work in progress, right? The adoption.
Yeah, Mr. Rao, thank you. I think Nishant very nicely slid the policy part in. So just to set the context, you know, I represent IndiaFirst Life, a life insurance company. So my answers or inputs, insights will be what we are experiencing. And it's interesting that you put, you know, all of us together, because as you correctly said, our experience is slightly different from what Suman or Amaresh or Nishant probably is seeing of the digital, you know, onslaught. So our experience is that digitization has not yet become a large buying experience. Okay, the percentage of sale that we do across the industry, I would say, is still not significant through the unassisted model, if I could put it like that. But at the same time, it has, it is coming. Okay, and obviously, as I was sharing with you, the industry has been, in a way, ready. I mean, we've been paperless for a long time, and we are, processes, etc., are quite digitized. Insights of consumers are, you know, we are paranoid that we should not be left behind. So we are sort of buying all these insights, etc., taking all the vendors. I would think that we have insights. But finally, what is happening is, you know, there are some indications of the life cycle getting completely disturbed. The earlier, so what I mean, traditionally marketers, we used to say, you know, you will have awareness first, then interest, then consideration, then purchase, and then finally loyalty. Okay, so AICPL type of a, that sort of is broken already. Okay, and we need to pick up this micro, you know, signals that are coming. So for example, now, when I'm doing a digital campaign, I'm putting a call to action button there. So it's not awareness leading to purchase later. It's an awareness instantly with purchase. Okay, and maybe 2-3% of people are actually exercising that option. Okay, then we are seeing a large signal from the renewal part of it. Life insurance, we have a long tail. Okay, about 7 years of renewal on an average. What is happening is, and we track all of these buckets, what we have started seeing, and I'm speaking for my company at least, and possibly the industry is experiencing, is that the tail is getting shorter. People would have committed for a longer period, but are losing interest or are finding other products. Maybe the information flow is better for people. Purchase options and ways to purchase are easier, simpler on the phone. And therefore, after 2.5-3 years time, okay, it's tapering off now. Okay, the percentage of renewals that used to remain is getting disturbed. Okay, on the negative side, so people are not remaining so long. And the third one that out of the 3 points, is the signal from, you know, what is disturbing the funnel is. You know, the funnel itself is no longer in the same shape. Okay, in the sense of you start with telling people about yourself and then go to so people are buying, then they're dropping off, then suddenly rebuying without much of effort from our side. Okay, so now these we have to understand why it is happening. It's very difficult for us to sit and say that I know. Okay, I think we are guessing some results, but we don't know really. I cannot say for sure, but these are the signals. Having said that, possibly the reason we are not yet seeing a significant amount of sale from this is because life insurance per se is considered as a serious instrument to buy or invest through after a significant amount of time has elapsed in one's life. Okay, so just in the first job, people don't yet buy. Earlier, they used to buy for tax saving. There are many more instruments now. So it's around maybe 25 that we see serious buyers. And 45 is when we really look at serious investment. So the 45 age group is still not as savvy on the digital or responsive on the digital medium, perhaps. Okay, so we will take a little more time before the youngsters who are more on the digital tech to catch up and the behaviors will change.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, thanks a lot. That's quite a insightful view. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Amaresh, I mean, as a leader with Publicis, you got a ringside view of almost every industry. What's your view on this?
Yeah, I mean, listening to all the panelists was actually interesting because what you realize, and we see that every day, is that digital adoption from a funnel perspective is on a spectrum, depending on the sector. So if you are selling something that is easy to buy online, you have an entire business around it. But if you are selling something where the decision making is complex, there are still people who are apprehensive, right? I think when we talk about the funnel, what we are seeing is, see, the different phases of the funnel are still relevant. I mean, a brand needs to have awareness, it needs to have a certain perception, etc. But what's changed is it's no longer linear, right? There was a certain linearity to the funnel. Now it's very sporadic and random, right? People can jump in from different phases of the funnel and can come in at any point of time. I'll give you a personal example. A few years back, I was buying a car, and I'd gone through the entire linear journey of researching and everything that an automaker would look at. I put down the booking amount, and the same day I got an ad on Instagram